Content disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in the media or comments on this show are those of the speaker or authors and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by our ministry. All material is gathered from other sources, and we only comment on publication and previous social formatted information. Due to the social nature of this information, it may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. Deeper Look claims no copyright to said content. The Deeper Look can't be held accountable for the copyrighted content. The Deeper Look is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this format. If you have a complaint about something or find your content is being used incorrectly, please contact the Deeper Look prior to making a copyright claim. Any infringement was not done on purpose and will be rectified to all parties' satisfaction.
Join the Deeper Look family. We would like you to like us on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Deeper Look Show or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Deeper Look Show. You can get alerts when we go live. Save this number to call in and voice your opinion. Be our co-host call-in guest, 516-590-0135.
Hey, how are you doing? Hopefully all is well. There's one more intro that I want him to do. I want him to do Tell Dr. Jackson there is, and then, but I want to introduce a guest, and then they're going to do that tonight. This is, I was going to say Dr. Hunt.
No.
This is Nurse Hunt.
Nurse Hunt.
And she's with us. We want to have some information that's going to be shared tonight. It's going to be an interesting show. You need healthcare professionals that can speak to you. There's an sundry of things that she has. Now, she's not only just a nurse, she's an activist, she's a mother,
yes,
and she is a concerned citizen. I oftentimes like to give a disclaimer. She's going to say some powerful things. She's not looking at this time to run for office or any of those kind of things. God has not told her that. No. But she has a compassion for this city and this nation. And as a spiritual leader, I'm concerned that the information is being given to the community. I know that there are a lot of people that watch us that are of the faith community, and I want to make sure that people of faith are getting the word out. Also, as we're developing the brand of this show, there is a portion of this show where we want whistleblowers, people that know that mess is going on in our community, in our streets, in our churches, in our government, that will let us know and tell us what's going on. And I want you to give me your opinions. Tell me what's going on. I want to hear what you say is going on. We want to make sure that we are proactive and responsive as well. And so I got a sneaking sensation that that Nurse Hunt's going to be with us on a whole lot more issues.
Well, I hope so.
And dealing with a lot of things that are going wrong and things that are going right. We're not going to always talk about the problems in the community. We're also going to talk about some of the solutions, some of the great people that are doing something. So I'm so excited. They're going to do this roll in that they didn't do in the early part. I think they waited for this particular speech here. And let's go to that now.
We take your story serious. Do you have an issue that you would like Dr. Jackson to deal with? Are you a whistleblower? Do you have information that needs to be exposed about the harming of people? Contact us today with your story and contact information, and please send corresponding proof. We do not buy stories or use this platform to hurt people, but we listen to both sides of the story. Email us today at deeperlook2020@gmail.com.
Well, we're back. I'm excited. We've got Nurse Hunt with us. Well, there's so much talk in our community about not taking this thing seriously.
Right.
In the first beginning states, our president made some statements like this thing will fly over, kind of made jokes about it being the Chinese thing and it'll pass over. But the world has been affected.
Yes.
And in Jacksonville, we've had so many cases of being
Yes.
testing. People are going everywhere being tested, and the numbers are 47 people, was it?
Well, actually, as of the other day, we've had about 121 have tested positive for COVID-19 as of Monday morning. The statewide caseload has rose to actually 1,171. 14 people have died from the disease, including 2 from Jacksonville, 1 from Clay County, and we've had an increase of 164 cases. Currently, Lot J, which is downtown, was designated by the federal for federal COVID-19 testing on Saturday, and there have been 565 people tested by 1 o'clock on Monday. It is now open to all ages, but they must have a temperature of 99.6. That's like a low-grade temp, what we consider the low-grade temp. Plus, they must have respiratory symptoms. That might include shortness of breath. You may have some fever, like I said, coughing, a dry cough. Usually it's persistent because when the virus first enters into the body, it will present in the throat first before it progresses into the lungs. And then that you will start to feel like you're going underwater. You can't get your breath as the virus replicates very rapidly in your lungs. So this is what we're looking at here in Duval County.
So do you think we were ready?
No, absolutely. When I was here before, we sort of touched on it, but I had been looking at what was going on in Wuhan, China, on YouTube. And I was actually prepared for it. You were seeing these people jumping out of windows and all of this. And, you know, unfortunately, I feel like the United States just kind of took this for granted and didn't really prepare. And, the president was calling it a hoax. And unfortunately, I think, we shouldn't have probably allowed those cruise ships embark off those cruise ships, and we should have been taking effective measures to monitor and things of that nature before we started allowing. Right.
But, I was just seeing something the other day that there were members of Congress and the Senate, part of the Intelligence Committee, were given information prior,
Right.
and actually sold stocks and prepared. They knew, the intelligence community knew where we were going. It's the citizens, like the mom and pops, us, just all of us, really did not know. And if you're not really a social media kind of conscientious person, you didn't know. But I need your nursing. I'm calling on, I know you're an advocate, I'm calling on your nurse. Tell us what we can do to protect ourselves. And to be honest with you, an African American, I've heard so many statements that have come from other providers and other ethnicities and things of the sort. But there's some behavior patterns that are indigenous of our community that we kind of do. Right. And we have a lot of seniors and a lot of those kind of things. And, we work with a lot of millennials and a lot of young adults. And they're going back home to deal with grannies, mothers. Their mothers are older, their parents, and they're
Right.
And they may not be infected yet, but they may carry the virus on them and all that kind of things. Tell us what we can do to safeguard from your practical understanding of this as a healthcare
provider. Okay, well, number one, I brought some props here to some things to show you. Now, number one, I would encourage you to get some disinfectant. You should have antimicrobial hand wash so you can wash your hands repeatedly throughout the day. And when you wash your hands, wash them thoroughly, pat them dry, use a napkin or something to cut off the sink and to touch the door handles, or you're reinfecting yourself. Also have hand sanitizer. I'd like for you to check your temperatures throughout the day. Like I said, monitor for 99.4 or above. Should be using gloves. Get some gloves. And I would encourage everybody to have an N95 respirator mask, and to make sure it is properly sealed around the nose and all the way around so nothing is seeping in. Also, if you do not have hand sanitizer, you can always use alcohol, ethyl alcohol. But the main thing is social distancing. You should be at least 6 feet apart and stay indoors. If you do not have to go anywhere, now's the time to look at YouTube, play some video games, play some cards, read your Bible, do some things, you know. But being outside could be hazardous to your health. And that's just simple as that.
Now, you mentioned alcohol.
Yes.
Because this stuff here is going in the stores so quick.
Right.
I mean, they can't keep it on the shelf.
Well, you can make your own sanitizer. You know, you could take some wipes, napkins, paper towels, kind of put bleach on them, take them and wring them out, put them back in a, like I was telling my daughter, I said, if you've got your, the baby wipe container, you could take a little bleach, put it over there, wring it out, and put them back in there and keep them dry and wipe your hands, right?
So bleach kills it.
Right, bleach.
Alcohol?
Alcohol, ethyl alcohol. Trump was saying something about the fluorine, or I can't think of the exact name, but he was chloroform. It's a form of chloroform, but they found that that was kind of poisonous. So, and most people don't have access to that anyway. But the main thing is hand sanitizer. If you don't have it, bleach. Everybody has some bleach and some alcohol. If push come to shove, you don't have alcohol, don't take this wrong, Pastor. Get some old-fashioned vodka or something like that. It's got alcohol in it. It will work. I'm just telling the truth. You got to do what you got to do if this continues to go on and we don't have. But you need to sanitize your hands. But nothing will replace hand washing. I cannot stress that enough. Hand washing. Don't be touching surfaces. Please do not touch your mouth, your nose, your eyes. And, you know, staying at a distance from people. One of the things in our community is we're actually very interactive with social people. We like, hey, what's up? You know, now's the time to be at a distance from people.
So now I want to talk about some things in terms of this whole virus and affecting our community. Mm-hmm. Who are some of the people that are at risk, that are greatly at risk from your understanding of it?
Well, first of all, anybody that is what we call immunocompromised, anybody that have underlying health issues. For example, a lot of us have asthma. I have asthma. A lot of that is because of the environmental toxins in our communities, right? So we're at risk. I'm at risk. Anybody older, anybody that's got an autoimmune disease like diabetes, heart disease, cancer. So this can affect your grandmama, your uncle, you know, your older people in your family. So even though young people who are more healthy and don't have what we call comorbidities or underlying healthcare issues may recover quicker, they could then pass it on to their grandmama and aunts and uncles in the house.
So my question for you, it's a possibility they could recover without being...
Yeah, absolutely. You can have a low-grade temperature, stay indoors, and go through the symptomatology and actually recover. There are people who are recovering.
Wait a minute, without the drugs?
Without the drugs. But 80% of people do recover. But what about the 20% that don't?
So let me get this right. So there could be people that are going through the virus with the symptoms of the virus, going through it, recover, still have traces of that in them in the last stages, almost like the cold. When the cold is over with, you know, you just got a little bit, and all of that kind of stuff going on, and then all of a sudden you're around people, and before you know it,
you gave it to your grandmama, your aunt, your cousin that's got some type of respiratory illness.
So the danger is really, I hate to use this term like this, but millennials can be one of the most dangerous things walking the earth that are not doing this. I know the seniors need to definitely do this.
Right.
But because they're social interaction,
Right.
usually they're the ones that they're sending to the store.
Right.
They're the ones that are exchanging, going to get things from mom, going to handle stuff because of
They're
that.
still going to the beach. They're still congregating in the neighborhood, still having the parties, still going to the club, you know.
Now, let me tell you something. I was literally, and I'm a man of faith. Don't get me wrong.
I know
believe
you
God.
are. I know
but
you are.
I had to go to Walmart, and
Right.
when I went into Walmart, you know, I had my mask on, and then I had a towel over that, and then I put my money in the machine, and it jammed. And people were walking around me and all the kind of
Right.
I'm wiping my hands and everything.
You
I'm sitting
should
there.
be.
And so literally I'm sitting here like,
Matter
because,
of fact, you should have had on gloves.
see, yeah.
So I'm going to leave you some gloves.
Okay, well,
tonight.
thank you. Because
So don't say I never gave you nothing.
But literally, but I was watching people walking around,
Right.
not covered, but there is a social awareness.
Right.
People, I mean, people speak. Hey, I mean, with their face. I mean,
Right,
I mean,
right.
because there is a phobia. That's two things that happen now: depression and anxiety.
Oh, yes.
It also affects the immune system,
Absolutely. The stress.
the stress, and so even though the news is reporting, our own mayor said that he did not realize that there were cases that had hit Jack when he found out. You know how he found out? Watching the news himself.
Well, he should have found out because I went on the City of Jacksonville, COJ.com, and I voiced my concern about this about 2 or 3 weeks ago,
Well, he,
directly on his site, and asked him what was he doing to be prepared for this. But, you know, there's an economic impact, and what happens with our politicians is they start to think about economics before they start to think about human health, and that's part of the problem.
and we're going to get to that, but you know, there's much talk about our president
Right.
saying that in just a little while, and we'll be back to work, and we're going to be back and active. And there's so much fear. There's so much phobia.
Well, it should be because there's no guarantee that this is going to be arrested or stopped by April, which he's saying by Easter. The number one thing is we need more testing, Bishop, because unless we have more testing to see who's actually positive, we can't begin to isolate those patients.
Especially because you said something to me that literally people can be carrying it and not really aware, thinking
Well, you
they've
can
got the
be-
cup, they're carrying
Right.
a cold or
Right.
just, and actually be carrying it.
Well, you can be asymptomatic for up to 14 days and give it to somebody. So it's imperative that we take this stuff seriously. I need everybody to. I came out tonight because I care about the people who look at your show, this community, and as a nurse, you know, nursing is more than just skills. It's about advocacy, right? It's about reaching out and caring. I came out to venture out tonight because I cared, because I think it is critical that we learn to protect ourselves and that we become precautious and we understand the seriousness, the deadly seriousness of this pandemic.
We host every year the North Florida's Black Nurses. Their functions are here. We made our spot the spots for as they raise money for their causes and scholarships and stuff. We do a lot with them, and so my heart goes out. My mom's a healthcare provider
Right.
herself. She's an RN, and you know, nurses and doctors.
Well, I
are
was just this week, well, last week, if you follow me on Facebook, raising very heated concern about a lot of nurses who were having signs and symptoms of COVID-19 and couldn't get access to the testing because they couldn't prove that they had been around somebody that actually had an active case of COVID-19, and they were being denied the test and so forth, and was being required to report back to work. And then they were saying that a lot of them didn't have access to protective equipment, which we're learning that a lot of our hospitals and things are at risk for running out of medical supplies and the needed equipment.
Well, I mean, we've got.
But since then, let me just explain, not to cut you off,
No, you're
but
good.
since then, because of the outpouring of concern, voices like mine, the mayor then decided to designate Lot J 2 weeks later as the Trump administration as a COVID testing site, and they are now opening up the Osborne, the Prime Osborne Center, and there's going to be plans to make that into like a almost like a wartime hospital unit that's able to take care of the overflow right in our hospitals, but right now hospitals are able to meet capacity.
You know, one of my growing concerns, and I'm going to talk about technology and how important it is for businesses and churches and groups to adjust to that. But you know, one of my growing concerns is our homeless population.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
That's sad.
I mean, we do a, if you allow me to use this word, and
It's all right.
y'all saints don't crucify me, we do a piss poor job
No,
as
that's
a
the
country
truth. That's true.
addressing the issues of our homeless population, and expressly now, this week, not just the homeless but families, we took out items to the community. You know, we were covered up and sealed,
Right.
but we realized that people are experiencing financial hardship, and you know, they've ran out of benefits. You know,
Right.
money's gone because they're home longer, and it's something. You know, I got to tell y'all. You know, you cannot eat up all your
COVID rations,
Rations.
like my granddaughter
you
has.
cannot eat it all up.
Yeah.
You've got to stretch this.
Yeah, because we don't know when this is going to come to an end. And we shouldn't be hoarding, but we should be vigilant. Like, I already had toilet tissue and the needed necessities because my daughter was looking at this stuff back in January. So we were steadily building up all of the necessities in our house to last us for 3 months. So I'm very well stocked because I took this stuff seriously.
Now you got your pistol at the house too.
Well, I thought about getting one because if we do not get safeguards in our system right now, and that can lead, we could talk about that in terms of the stimulus. If we don't get that, then I predict we're going to have civil unrest in this country because, you know, my cousin is a McDonald's franchise owner, and
16 stores?
she has 12.
12.
And she is fighting right now to keep those stores going because workers are begging her to keep going to have a paycheck, right? Because they still have to pay rent, lights, and bills.
And with people staying home
Right.
and buying food.
And now the demand for services is decreased. She's got a small staff working because they closed the inside of the restaurants down, and now she has to either service them through the window or takeout, which actually exposed those essential workers to COVID-19, those workers that are delivering the food to your home.
So the Grubhub, the DoorDash, all of those kind of people are so at risk.
Right, at risk. And I would recommend that they wash their hands, use the N95, be sure and stand at a safe distance. You know, they got to protect themselves because at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself.
And the Uber
and your
drivers,
Oh
and
yeah,
all of those people that are really on the front.
yes,
You know,
yes,
just
on the front end.
so-
Now we're seeing how important the workers are in this country, which
backbone.
which could lead to another segment of why I support Bernie Sanders for president.
Well, you know, Bernie did make some really, you know, they killed Bernie, and we won't get in that session. But
Oh, yes, sir.
but now people are siding with some of the things that Bernie was saying.
Well, no one is, you know, they were saying, well, socialism doesn't work, but no one was looking to turn in that $1,000 check at the first that Trump was offering, right? That's a form of socialism, right?
In crisis, all that logic, all that goes out the window in times of crisis.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
People
yeah.
start thinking about, but I think that somehow we've lost our heart for one
think
another,
so.
and to it hits our door. To tragedy, I watch in
Mm-hmm.
gun violence and things that happen in our communities.
Well, we see that all the time, don't we?
So when when Pookie goes,
Right.
or Elizabeth dies,
Right.
we need to do something about this city and this country and these guns and this stuff that's going on.
Absolutely. We see that with, well, I won't get into that, but, black men being,
It's okay for them to die
right.
until someone of an ethnicity or another group or
Right.
social economic bracket is affected when crime reaches and it leaves Moncrief and comes to Mandarin. And it's already going on there. But when it becomes
Well, the thing is, what happens is, it's not just crime leaving Moncrief going to Mandarin,
or Mandarin going to
or Mandarin going to Moncrief. Crime is everywhere in the city, and what happens is the people that live in Moncrief are more likely to get re-victimized because you're right there by that person. I can break in your house and steal your TV because you're right there. I don't need to go away to Mandarin, right?
and ready, and enforcement, follow through, and all of those things are not there to ensure protection. And
Right.
then but listen to me. Technology is a growing thing that
Okay.
concerns us. And so companies, groups, churches, some of them, I've been spilling this thing out. Churches, stream your services.
Right.
Get technologically advanced.
Right.
Let me help you for a few $100s. I go in for a couple $100s and show them this is not big money. This is not heavy dollars. Let me do the heavy lifting. Let me set up systems for you. Let me train the few little people you got. Grab me your young people. Some of your senior citizens may not understand this technology, but you got some millennials that they want to do something in the church and y'all won't let them do anything anyhow, other than sing on a certain Sunday or lead praise team. They got technical abilities. They're smart. Let me grab them. And now pastors are realizing, streaming, can't stream, they're at a disadvantage. And even you that are at a disadvantage, I'm still saying, call me. Let me help you. It doesn't matter if you're in another city. I can walk you through and actually train them what to do to get by and do something that looks professional. The playing field has now changed because once upon a time you got a nice church. And so now the storefront preacher or the little guy took some time that was younger to get his stuff together.
Right.
Now you got this huge church over here, and your stuff is raggedy,
Right.
or not able to stream. And it's crazy because you got to be concerned about your parishioners.
Right.
And I've been watching that it seems as though pastors were not sensitive towards that. So what I did is I opened the doors. I told pastors, I said, you come and do your message. Don't do your service. You do your message, bring your musician and your singer. Y'all sing, you one singer, and I stream it to your page so your people will be able to experience it, and you do it rather than putting people at risk and doing that. And I said it. I didn't tell them. I said, hey, you just get a Church of Love offering. That's it. You ain't got to pay us. Right. I just want to help. If you want to get the gospel message out, then you do it. Then I work with pastors, and I'm working with business owners that they never made it to this digital area, being able to pay digitally.
Right.
And so they're a concern.
Well, I'd like to address that. One of my initial concerns was, I believe in the ministry of Jesus Christ, and he's called me to be a nurse to heal the sick, take care of the poor, and help the suffering.
And you have a degree in religion as well.
Well, yes, I did major in religion at the University of Florida, but that was in another 30-year lifetime span ago. I also went to the University of North Florida and graduated in African American Diaspora Studies. So and I'm a nurse, so I'm, well versed to talk about a lot of things. But what we're experiencing in the church and what really concerned me was the church is in a pivotal time, and where they can make a difference in the response to this COVID-19. And a lot of us rely on the church, we rely on the ministers, and we rely on them for reliability and truthfulness, right? And we depend on them. And I feel like the church have an obligation to protect the congregants, many of them who are elderly in their church, and as well as the outer community, right? Let me just say this. So what we're seeing is what is going on with the church in terms of them asking them to now move to streaming and other measures is I liken it to when the United States went from an agrarian society to a mechanical society, and we made that transition. You're going to have to see that even in the United States, we're moving from manufacturing and to a global economy, which requires scientific knowledge, STEM training for our younger people, technology, and robotics.
AI
and
is
they
taking over.
right, robotics even in our hospitals and the pharmacies replacing ordinary workers.
Attorneys are being replaced.
Right, we talked about that. Attorneys are being replaced, and so the church has an obligation to stay relevant and to stay in terms of outreach, and they must embrace technology. And this is what COVID-19 is forcing the church to become more, I would say, technologically savvy and take advantage of some of the technology like Facebook streaming, some of the digital YouTube
streaming,
and some of those measures. And it's great that you're in a position to help some of these churches, and you're not even asking that much.
Well, you know what? Listen to me.
But let me just say this. A lot of it is the fear of the unknown, the unfamiliar. And, you know, we have to grow. Christ calls on us to grow in his ministry, right? And we grow every day in his love and understanding. And that is what is needed in the church. We have to grow, Pastor, and we have to be willing to open our minds and reevaluate and self-evaluate. Where are we? What is our heart, and where do we want to go in terms of helping our people?
I think you said something powerful. I was just reading the other day, and if any of you asked for my book selection, I don't mind doing it.
Oh yeah.
But in 20 years, they're predicting that 40% of the labor force
Right.
would have been replaced by robotics, AI, these new Androidian technology, intelligent machines and devices.
Genetic testing and all that.
Are being replaced. So chances are the church, this is a wake-up call, because much of our parishioners that are labor intense, that work jobs, are going to be replaced. I mean, and jobs that, these are not just dishwashers and jobs that some people like to call just blue collar, but they are white collar jobs that are being replaced. And it's so the church is getting ready to experience a massive transformation. And I think this is a wake-up call to remind us either change with the times or get left.
Or get left. I mean, even in the airline industry, which they're trying to bail out now, even though they had all those tax cut savings and they bought back their stock back and didn't reinvest in their people, and now we're being asked to bail them out instead of workers that deserve to be bailed out. But even in the aviation industry, which I was a part of that and promoting that, more people to become pilots in the black community, our planes fly almost on pilot, automatic pilot. They're going to end up replacing pilots.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can just actually plug in your points and just go for destination and just go from Jacksonville to New York, and it's just on autopilot. Now, we got cars that are parking themselves. I mean,
well, I don't know how. I don't know. I'm gonna say something, and this is gonna test our relationship. How could it? But the Jetsons and many of those shows were prophetic, and some of the things that it said and they said, it was warnings to where we were going. And ready, if you look at, and I'm not talking about Notre Dame.
You remember Star Trek?
Oh God! Whoever
thought we'd be looking at a big screen and talking to the screen
and touching it and interacting with us? Culturally, we are, and our car is parking itself. And what they're doing, you know, I was looking at a car, and I went, and one of the things they do is they do an assessment. And you know, we drove a Mercedes, and so
Of course you would.
I wanted to switch.
The greatest people drive Mercedes.
They know what it calls. And so I considered driving one of the newer type cars.
Okay.
And so I went for an assessment. They give you a little assessment whether or not you're prone to. Well, come to find out that I wasn't a suitor for it because I don't charge my cell phone. I don't charge my iPad. I mean, they would sell the car to you anyhow.
Right.
They've determined that these cars, and I guess I'm not going to say the name because I'm not going to
Get in trouble.
I'm to get in trouble. But I wasn't a suitor because I'm not really good. But technology is where it's going. I just love that big LED in it. And I love the doors that open up on the side. But now you know what I'm talking about. But I realized that was not technology. Some of the stuff they're doing with those cars to park themselves and to self-driving technology. I think, and I make this appeal to pastors that are out there. We do times of talking and stuff. You need to know where our culture is and what's going on and know the technology issues that are out there and be able to resolve it. You call me. You want to learn, you want to know, you want to take your church to the next level. You're out there, and I'm amazed. It's a lot of pastors that are looking. Let us help you. We've got classrooms. I got webinars. I mean, if you can guarantee me there's less than 10 people there and get me some some disinfectant, I'll come out to your church if you're in Jacksonville and help you set up something so that you can get progressive. I'll build the platform so you can go on your own website and your people can see your messaging and all we have to do is just turn a switch. Whatever you need to make sure the message gets out. Because our people need to be encouraged. You are right.
Absolutely.
I mean, people are melancholy, they're frustrated, they're stressed, they're looking at so much decadence and negative news. They need to be encouraged. So you're right about that. But at the mercy of putting people at danger is our concern, that we are protecting people and their lives. And so I thank you. What I want to do now is I want us to, they're going to roll into this little announcement that's going to come, and then afterwards we're going to come back and we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about politics.
Oh yeah, I love to talk about politics.
We got to talk a little bit about
You
that.
know I love politics.
Yeah. So we're getting ready to come back and we're going to talk about this whole issue. So into our producer's hand.
Bring the hospital to you without leaving your home. Protect your family without leaving your home. Have the doctor at your fingertips. We call it TeleDoc. Meet the doctor over the phone and have them call your prescriptions in to the nearest pharmacist. Imagine the doctor is available 24 hours a day. Sign up at www.signup.center. Get coverage for you and your whole family. Call 904-389-5592. Join the Deeper Look family. We would like you to like us on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Deeper Look Show or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Deeper Look Show. You can get alerts when we go live. Save this number to call in and voice your opinion. Be our co-host call-in guest, 516-590-0135.
We take your story serious. Do you have an issue that you would like Dr. Jackson to deal with? Are you a whistleblower? Do you have information that needs to be exposed about the harming of people? Contact us today with your story and contact information, and please send corresponding proof. We do not buy stories or use this platform to hurt people, but we listen to both sides of the story. Email us today at deeperlook2020@gmail.com.
Well, we're back, but I'm going to tell you.
Wait a minute, do like this. Put something on your nose.
Okay.
I got to have you looking right.
So, we're back on. God, we're glad.
Wow.
Thank you. So, let's talk about this whole situation in terms of Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
And I seek to give a balanced perspective.
Okay.
But the truth of the matter is, the man was dead home.
Oh, yeah.
about a lot of issues that he said. I listened to the speech that Bernie gave as he was addressing the country, and he got a lot of backlash from that initially.
Well, usually when you're advocating change, right?
Yeah.
And you're pushing the system, right, against the status quo, you're going to get backlash. Dr. Martin Luther King got backlash, right? Because he wanted us to, actually, he was fighting against poverty, right?
Well, whenever you stand for something, you're going to have people that are going to come against you for what you stand for.
Well, I get a lot of backlash. I actually stand for something.
Well, you know, like you are in the political arena,
Right.
and your social advocacy. In the pulpit, I am, because I call preachers that are, I call them bootleg preachers. I call people that are not willing to really serve. I get bothered. What bothers me is we wear the title but fail to do the work.
Right.
And not just the preachers, but not they. Watch this. You know, the scripture talks about the man that found himself on the side of the road.
Okay.
That's where the hospital church came from. When
Okay.
when he, the Samaritan put him on his own beast, took him to the inn, and took care of him all night long. Left it to the innkeeper and said, "When I come back," he left him with some money. Said, "Take care of him, and I got you when I come back." That was the whole concept where God gave us the hospital church, because we are supposed to maintain, take care of those that have fallen.
Right.
But what got me is that he took care of him at the point where he was hurting at, in the road. He poured oil in his wound. Now watch this. The Levite, the priest, came by, looked at him from afar, realized his condition, but was not willing to get involved. One was like the preacher, the other one was like the deacon. And so I tell people that they will follow their leaders in their actions. So when you wonder why the church isn't serving and the church isn't the preacher, but it's the people that's in the church and they follow the lead of many of their leaders. Now, a disclaimer. There's some great pastors out there that are doing a great job, that are serving God's people and doing a wonderful job. And I thank God for you that are serving. But it is important that we become active at affecting change. I mean, we were out there feeding homeless people. I mean, actually going to homes and giving stuff in areas that are diminished.
Well, I'll actually be in Sherwood Forest Saturday morning along with Representative Kim Daniels, and we will be giving out food. And I'm actually going to suit up and go out there and hand out food because so many people don't have the money. Think about it. You get food stamps once a month. You can't work. And who's going to bridge the difference in making sure your child who's home now can feed themselves? We have got to take control of this situation and help actually bring ministry, advocacy to our people and meet the needs. And that's, you know, you was talking about Bernie Sanders and the stimulus package that was first offered by Trump, which was $1,000, but it had a lot of bailouts for giant corporations with no tangible benefits for those workers like myself. So what Bernie Sanders was offering is, and like I said, what COVID-19 brought to the forefront is the need for access to health care for everyone, right? You're seeing that more so than ever. Regardless of your ability to pay, you need access. And he's proposing a $2 trillion COVID-19 emergency plan, which includes $2,000 directly monthly payments to every American. Now that is phenomenal. Not only that, once again, everyone that needs care can get it for free. Health care, I believe in that. Number two, we need to ensure all workers continue to receive paychecks so that they can make sure ends meet. And number three, we need to stop these giant corporations and Wall Street, these pharmaceutical companies, and all of these companies from profiting off the outbreak of COVID-19. That is imperative.
Now, how do you make those things happen?
How do you make those things happen? Like we did after World War II, Bishop. We went in and actually President Roosevelt had what we call a bailout plan for Europe. And we pumped in billions of dollars to Europe to bail them out, and we was guaranteeing every worker a job here in America, every worker the right to Social Security, and those type things. And we need to bring that back to America in 2020.
Now, I think that where we stand now as a country, there are many that will say that that's complete socialism.
Well, we already had socialism. You had socialism when you got Social Security. You had socialism when you got that welfare check. You had socialism when you got student loans. You had socialism when you had them food stamps. When I used to get them $241 when that welfare check hit, that was socialism. I didn't work for it. That's a handout, right?
Absolutely.
But the problem is we've been giving billions and billions of dollars in free welfare checks to corporations. And so our money is being mismanaged. We've got the money. It's where is the money being distributed?
So wait a minute now. So you mean the companies you are suggesting, and you're saying that the companies are getting welfare too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're getting welfare. They're getting welfare. They're getting subsidies. Let's take it right here in Jacksonville. We gave Sean Kahn $233.3 million to subsidize Lot J, which is downtown, right? He's worth $8 billion, right? Can you imagine what $233 million would mean to Moncrief, Myrtle Avenue, Clyde Drive?
We gave him how much?
$233.3 million with no stipulations for work guarantees and for things for workers. And we have a high unemployment rate right here in Jacksonville. People working 2 jobs, people working to make ends meet. The average rent is over $1,069. How many people out there can't hardly make their rent this month? How many people out there can't pay their car note, their Geico insurance? See, I'm one of them. I understand what you're going through.
So wait a minute now. So I like this because you know this is my lane here.
Oh yeah, this is my lane too.
Because what happens is I think that, and this is what I encourage. You know, I'm big for teaching us our community to get off welfare, to become socially aware, to get all those kind of things, and giving the undergirding and developing programs and training. I'm with that. But what
get off welfare?
Yeah, hold on. Let me
they ain't got off welfare.
I got one. But this is what I was getting ready to say. That instead of taking the picture and making pocket communities feel guilty for doing that, let's hold everybody accountable.
Exactly.
So you want the lady the old lady that worked all her life that you ain't giving but $70.
Right.
You want her to get off welfare and mama to be able to make it, but then you giving corporations millions upon almost billions of dollars.
And we're building up the military industrial complex. We're building up prisons. We're building and subsidizing every industry that is taking money out of our pockets. If America is a free market economy, if that's true, then everybody should make it on their own what? Meritocracy, their own hard work. We should not be subsidizing any corporation to make it, and we should not be bailing out any corporation. Let's, for example, in 2008, most black people lost their wealth, including me. I lost over $1 million in assets when the market folded, and a lot of us have not recovered. They went in and bailed out Wall Street. Wall Street, in return, didn't bail out us with foreclosures.
No, it didn't.
So we helped them to be what? To have income. All those top 1%ers got paid. Me, the working nurse, lost my home, lost everything I had. Nobody bailed me out. Did anybody bail you out? No. We have to work. So the truth is, meritocracy in America is dead. It's a myth.
And does not exist.
And does not exist.
And especially for the working America.
For the working America. And we need to be for the workers. This is not just about race. This is about class. This is about elitism. And this is about people on the bottom always coming up and not getting the short end of the stick. And it's enough's enough.
Now this is my concern. And so there's been much talk about, so recently there was a nurse that was working in the hospital.
Correct.
And she's not going on camera. She did an off-camera interview. And I should have had that interview where she heard doctors talking about, having to make decisions, not having enough ventilators, not having enough. And even though they took a Hippocratic oath, they were actually the determinants of who lived or died.
Right.
And what's so sad is that they were talking about people like us getting the short end of the stick.
Well, I mean, that translates into health care for black people since the Tuskegee.
But my point is why it is so important for African Americans
Right.
to do this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because our Medicaid, our Medicare, our city cards, our stuff may not reach and cover some of the real issues.
Right.
And so I want to say this to you. Just because you can afford to go to the doctor today, and because you can go to the healthcare today, when it's coming down to a survival of the fittest, you may be the last.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I need you to, and I know we don't want to think like that. I know that we're in a culture that we try to believe all of these wonderful things, but these are some horrible days that are before us.
Right.
There are horrible days behind us. And so I want us to just open our minds for just a minute and protect what belongs to you. Listen to me. You said some things about Bernie. I think Bernie has a wonderful, I think a lot of Americans like Bernie,
Right.
but they're afraid.
Well, we're afraid of the unfamiliar, and we've been indoctrinated to believe that we shouldn't actually receive our fair share.
Now,
And it's just like what's going on with the church, which you was talking about, the streaming. When we don't understand that which we don't understand, we shun.
and some of them are doing it, but they're not doing it with excellence. And so what happens is mega ministries that are doing it with excellence, their parishioners are going to be attracted to them.
Right.
I'm trying to get pastors to be able to do it with excellence on a low budget for peanuts, so that they can still garner the same degree of support and ready. If you're giving a subpar service that people can barely hear what you're saying, the microphone wave over here is distracting. I mean, it's there. But going back to what you said, I think that they are afraid. Now, I'm going to ask you this question.
Okay.
And this is this strong. And it's just us talking. I know that there's 500 some other people listening to. But do you ever just get the feeling that Biden, do you ever get, I know he was with Obama,
Okay.
but do you ever get that he might be a little racist?
A little racist.
I mean, do you ever get that feeling?
Do I get that feeling? Well, we don't. It's not about a feeling. See, facts don't. Let me just
That
say.
voting record don't.
Wait a minute. Let me just say this. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, I teach that as a preacher.
Right? And the real revolution is the elevation of the mind. So we don't have to get a feeling whether he's racist. We can look at his track record.
Voting record.
His voting record, his track record, and his political record, right? He was and he is a segregationist. He was part of the Dixiecrats. We're talking about Governor George Wallace, Strom Thurmond, that was against integrating public schools. Okay, so let's start off with that. He was against, he was for all the Jim Crow measures that kept our people impoverished, that led to a lot of the brutality that we experienced in this country and we fought for. He was against some of the civil rights gains that we fought so hard for.
But he said he changed.
Okay, did he change? What has he done since he promoted that crime bill? In other words, if I change, then I have to make amends for the work I did, right? The harm I did. It's not enough to change. If I hurt you and I don't make amends for it, then it's futile. There are millions of black people who have been separated in their families because of his 94 crime bill.
Now explain that, because some people don't even understand that.
Well, he increased, we talked about this, the unequal, it called for the unequal sentencing of crack and cocaine.
Yeah.
It also stipulated where more people were subject to longer sentences, right? The 3 strikes, you're out, the mandatory minimum.
Ready. and selling near a church, knowing that in our community there was a church on every corner.
It took away the judge's discretion, right, to be able
to evaluate case by case scenario,
right, which we have been doing, which is fair, right, because everybody don't meet the same criteria. It was racist. It caused, you know what? Let me just say this: black people make up 12% of the population, about 12.5%. We make up over almost 50% of the prison population. Why is that?
It's a tragedy.
That's a tragedy. And when you look at how black men have been stigmatized with the felony, and we're just fighting that now with the voting, trying to get voters' rights back with Amendment 4. All of these things are a direct effect of what Joe Biden did and what he was a part of. So, yes, and the only reason why President Obama brought him on...
To broaden his base.
Right, to broaden his base, and he had to do what he had to do to get elected. We understand that, but President Obama was great when he was there, but this is a new day. And these younger people and me, we're demanding more.
Well, I think that you said it right, and let me just deal with it. I'm going to always, being the preacher that I am.
Okay. I
think that it is foolish of us not to believe that there's an attack. I'm going to go for here first on the black male.
Oh yeah.
And the destruction of the black family. I believe the enemy has done that, going all the way back to Moses.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And so it would be foolish of us not to identify that. Pastor, multicultural church, people from all walks of life. But at the end of the day, I have to identify that Satan desires to divide and destroy families.
Right.
And if he can destroy the family. He can destroy our
communities. Right. Long before we were locking up children in cages from Mexico and all those places, black people have been separated from their families way since slavery. We've been fighting this since slavery, the separation of the black family. And we've been fighting to keep our families intact.